In this video, I'll show you how to install Ubuntu on VirtualBox. To download a copy of Ubuntu, you need to visit ubuntu.com and then go into the download section and then choose Ubuntu Desktop. Now there are two versions of the download. Ubuntu 2004 LTS. LTS is the long-term service release. The current release is supported up to April 2025 with free security and maintenance updates guaranteed. And then you have the second option, which is a short-term release. This is Ubuntu 2104. This is the latest version of Ubuntu and is supported until January of 2022 with security and maintenance update. For this video, I will be downloading Ubuntu 2104. So we can click download. And now it's giving us option, but we can just click and you can see the download has started. Now our download is complete. We can go into VirtualBox and start the process of creating our virtual machine. So for this, we create a new virtual machine. I'm going to name this virtual machine Ubuntu. And as you can see, VirtualBox has detected that I want to install Ubuntu on this virtual machine. I'll go with next. Here I'll be allocating the memory, the RAM amount. So I'll choose 4096, that's 4 GB of memory. I'll click next. And we create over here our storage device. So this will be our hard drive. So I'm going with dynamic allocation. This will be a 60 GB virtual hard drive. So I'll click create. This creates a virtual machine and we can increase the video memory by clicking this option here and choosing and going from 16 to 256. And then we can go further into the settings, go into storage, click the empty and choose our ISO. We had downloaded the ISO in the downloads folder, so I'll choose Ubuntu 2104 desktop AMD ISO and click open. This mounts the ISO. Now we can go into system, go into processor and allocate it 6 virtual CPUs. We can enable 3D acceleration. As you can see, the video memory is 256 MBs. I click OK. Now we can start our virtual machine. I can turn these notifications away. Now we are booting into our Ubuntu virtual machine. You will hear a startup greeting sound soon. Now we have Ubuntu booted up with our setup screen. We get to choose our language, whether we want to try or install Ubuntu. In this case, we want to install Ubuntu. So I'll click install Ubuntu. Now we'll be choosing our keyboard layout. My keyboard is English US, so I'm going to leave it at default. But by any chance, if you use any other keyboard, you can choose in these options. Or if you're unsure about that, you can type over here to detect the keyboard. So I'll click next. Continue, and I want a normal install. I will choose not to download the updates because I don't need that right now. And this option lets us install additional programs. Some of them are proprietary, but I'm going to leave that unchecked and I'll click continue. Now we'll erase our virtual hard drive, set it to ext4 and proceed with installing Ubuntu. This is asking us if we want to continue and it will create two partitions. It will create an ESP partition and an ext4 partition. So we'll click continue to proceed with this. Now we choose our time zone. This has automatically detected my time zone to be New York. So I'll click continue, and this is where we set up our user account. So I'll add my user account information here. It has detected VirtualBox. I can tweak this further by removing my name from it, so it's just a VirtualBox machine. And then I'll choose a password. And I'll verify the password. Now I'll click continue. Now the installation process is complete. We restart our virtual machine. Hit enter to unmount the ISO. Now the virtual machine is booting from the virtual hard drive. Now we log in with the user we had just created while installing. And Ubuntu has greeted us with the online accounts dialog. We can skip this step. I choose not to send any system information. I'll click next. Done. Now by default, Ubuntu screen resolution is set to 800 by 600 And this can be tweaked by going into the settings and then going into display and changing the resolution to something much higher. So we'll go with 1360 by 768. And now we have a higher screen resolution. But if we want this to adjust dynamically, where it adapts the window size, we can do this by installing the VirtualBox guest additions. But before we do that, we need to get certain packages installed so the drivers install correctly. So for that, I'll launch terminal. So I can do that by pressing start or super key and then typing terminal. Now that we have a terminal open, we first update our local database. Now let's install build essentials. Now that the build essentials are installed, we can mount our VirtualBox guest additions and start installing it. So we do this by going into devices and inserting the guest addition CD image. And as you can see, Ubuntu has detected a virtual disk being mounted and is asking if we wish to run this. So we click yes. Now this terminal is installing the VirtualBox guest additions. We can hit enter to close this window. Now we can unmount this ISO and restart the virtual machine. Now we log back into our virtual machine. Now we can see the virtual machine resolution adjusts according to our window size. If I set it to maximize, you can see now the whole interface has been maximized, or I could go into full screen and this can adapt to the complete 1920 by 1080 screen resolution. We can also upgrade our Ubuntu install by running sudo apt full upgrade and installing all the most recent updates. And now we have all the updates installed. If you found this video helpful, like the video, and for more videos subscribe.